Welcome to the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast, Baseball Family. My name is Brad, and I'm here with our guy, Brig. How are you today, Brig, in your snazzy Yankees hat?
Here you are.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to talk about hats because this hat sucks.
Yeah, we'll get there. We will.
Mhm.
That's called a tease. But we have a couple things before we get there. So first things first, just in case you didn't know, we are only 17 days as of the release of this episode away from the official, everyone opening day. Did you know, Brig, that on Wednesday, tomorrow, the day after the release of this episode, did you know that, I don't know about the Cubs, but the Dodgers are headed to Japan?
They are. I knew.
Which means there's going to be a couple of regular season baseball games in the very near future.
Yeah, it's coming. It's
Yes.
coming, and I'm excited about it. So take
I'm
that.
very excited. Absolutely. So, anyway, get ready for regular season because it's just around the corner. Something else that could be just around the corner for you is Chinook Seeds. Chinook Seedery, our favorite seeds, and on the package it says the best seeds ever. My
Facts of
favorite
life.
these days, I'm just gonna say Hatch chili. It's the good old go-to. If ever I'm in doubt, I can grab a Hatch chili, and it's always good. They're all always good though. Let's be honest. Brig is a parm and pepper man. Parm and pep, but they're all delicious. We love them so much that we actually reached out to Chinook Seedery, so you can get the best seeds ever at a discounted price. Use code BTPOD at checkout and save 10% off your order. Support the show, support your mouth and your wallet all at the same time. And you can thank us later. Again, that's chinookseedery.com and BTPOD at checkout to save 10%. Okay, let's get into some stuff here, Brig, because we got a lot going on. There is one big thing, though, that if you haven't heard about it, here it is. Gerrit Cole needs Tommy John surgery. It was officially announced on Tuesday. He's had 2 spring training starts. And by the way, he has 4 years and $144 million remaining on his contract. That was after he fake opted out. He came back to this. This is what he has left. Yeah. But mind you, he did miss about 2 months last year after having elbow issues during spring training. Yeah. He visited the same doctor this time to get a second opinion as he visited last year during spring training, Dr. Neil Elitrosh, and he is actually going to be performing the surgery for him.
He's the GOAT.
He's the new Dr. James Andrews.
Yep. This guy's the
Used
new
to be
hot shot in town.
Yeah, it used to be if you went to see Dr. James Andrews, it was for sure going to be Tommy John. And now if you go see Dr. Neil Elitrosh, it is most likely going to be Tommy John because last year they just had him rested. They had him rested through the rest of spring training into April, May, came back in June, and he was obviously feeling good, right?
Yeah.
He pitched well for the rest of the season, pitched well in the playoffs.
Yep.
So it's
That's
tough
the thing that
because,
happened.
well, and to me it's weird because like at the time I was kind of like he maybe needed Tommy John and probably should have just had it.
Yeah, maybe.
And even like looking back, it's like possibly, but he was really good. And usually guys who need Tommy John,
They're not really good.
They're not exactly. That's the first sign is that they're not. So I don't know. But anyway, here he is now. Brig, what happens next?
Well, what happens next is a whole lot of depth digging and lots of pressure put on Carlos Rodon. Probably going to squeeze every bit of what we've got out of Marcus Stroman right now. I don't know. Luis Heel is out till like June. He was Rookie of the Year last year, and he's on the injured list as well. He's got a lat thing. So, ultimately, we're in trouble. That's what I have to say. Because I know we got Max Fried, and I think that's fabulous. But if you're going to look me in the eye and tell me that everything's going to be okay with Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman, and Max Fried as like your headliner rotation guys, That's bad news, Bears. So there are a couple of arms in free agency still, but they're not exciting. They're not going to give you what Gerrit Cole gave you last year, even if he was hurt the whole time. The arms we need are trade options like Sandy Alcantara, Michael King, some of those guys that would be great pickups, but nobody is going to like I was listening to Samson today, and Samson's like, they're never going to say that they need somebody. They're never going to reveal the level of desperation they have as the Yankees, because they'll get Sandy Alcantara, or they'll get, Michael King, or they'll go get somebody, but at such an exorbitant cost, it's not going to matter. Like, it'll just gut the system. They're like, yeah, Samson said, okay, give me your 5 best guys. Because everybody and their dog knows this is the biggest problem now heading into this regular season.
Right.
Everybody
really
knows what's going on. Everybody knows. So ultimately, I don't know what this means between now and the break, when trade deadline talks start coming and we get real serious about shuffling guys around. I don't know. I am concerned. Concerned. That's my official position.
Yeah, you absolutely should be. And this is the thing, too, is that my first thought was like, oh, like the Mariners are trying to move Luis Castillo this offseason. Like the Yankees maybe. No, they can't go get him.
Nope.
Because he's not going to waive a trade to go to New York.
Nope.
Because they'll probably make him cut his hair. That was one of the concerns when he was with Cincinnati.
That's right.
Was they went to him and said, hey, would you be willing to go to Cincinnati? He said no. Or go to New York? He said no. Yeah, make me cut my hair. So that's a deal breaker for some guys. So
it is.
Can't do that. And the Mariners are down one guy right now because George Kirby's dealing with some shoulder inflammation.
Yeah, George Kirby.
So I don't think the Mariners are going to deal with anybody right now, deal any pitchers, because you want to make sure that that's good to go the rest of the way. But yeah, that's a problem though, especially with Luis Heel out, because you know what they say, Brig. We say it every year about this time and into May. You can't win the division in April and May, but you can certainly lose it.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So,
and we might honestly be staring down the barrel of that. We've got Stanton's elbows. DJ is out for however long. We've got a huge question at third base because of DJ and everything that's going on there. Yeah, we still have a left field problem. Dominguez is still trying to work things out, and I don't know. So this might just be a growing pains year is what I'm at this point. That's what I'm expecting. And because Baltimore is also struggling with their injured reserves or injured list or whatever we're calling it this year, it puts the Red Sox in a really great spot, and that's really upsetting to me. So
it does. Well, and that's the thing that's funny is like when it comes to injuries, they're like, well, everybody deals with injuries. It's like, well, yeah, everybody does deal with injuries, but not everybody deals with it to the same level. Right? Like you can have your utility guy get hurt and your 26th guy on the roster and a couple of bullpen arms get hurt and probably be fine, right? But when you've got your ace pitcher, your DH, and then you've got a question mark in the left field, and then you're not just
third base,
any utility guy. Like I feel like LeMahieu's a pretty good utility guy.
Well, right? He was.
Or he's like third base this year.
Oh, he would be only third base, but
okay,
but he's out anyway. It doesn't matter. He's got a calf thing. It's not happening.
And that's what I'm saying. Like you're missing him, and I know he's not what he was a few years ago, but still, he's better than a lot of replacement guys around the league. And so you've got a problem on your hands. You've got a problem with the injuries that you have. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what Cashman does to fill in those holes before opening day and early in the season, or if he's just kind of like, let's ride it out till Heel gets back and see what happens.
It's going to be 60 days worth of baseball. Maybe 70 days worth of baseball will be a big fat question mark. And I think if we can stay above 500 for the first 2 months of the season, that'll be the goal. like let's just
Well, I
Let's
mean,
just
the problem last
hope.
year was that you needed the cushion that they built. They needed the cushion that they built
Yeah.
early because
Yeah.
they weren't playing above 500 late. So
No, I know.
there are some
I
potential
know.
problems there. But
This is a rough deal. Anyway,
they became a whole lot more interesting, though. I'll give you that.
that's a fact.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about hats. Hats.
Ugh.
New Era has a new special line that they released. They're calling it overlap hats. And what it is they're overlapping basically the word mark, the word called word art. I don't know, the word mark
That's a
that's on the
word
chest.
art is great.
On the chest of the jersey, there's that, and then it's the primary logo overlaid on top of that. So like the Mariners word art on their chest is like the little compass, the Mariners, and then they have the primary logo of the S with the compass rose on it, overlaid smack dab in the middle of it, except it's on a hat.
Right here.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then everything
yeah.
behind it.
So it's like Briggs Yankees hat, and then behind it has Yankees or
In
New York. Is
script.
it New
That's what it says.
Yankees?
It
Yeah,
says Yankees in script, in cursive.
yeah. Now, those of you listening might be like, "Oh, not so bad." Let me tell you, it's so bad.
It's real bad.
So, the thing that's funny, so the Mariners one, I went and looked at it first, like right away, just to see what it was. And
Yeah.
if you look at it straight on, it says Macers
Mm-hmm.
because it's M-A, S with the Compass Rose logo, E-R-S. It says Macers on it. And there's
Yep.
others like Ashos and
Yeah.
Isles, and there was
Astros.
even one with the Texas Rangers that was pulled because whoever was designing this at New Era didn't speak any Spanish or slang Spanish because that was a vulgar term or a vulgar word in Spanish, and so they were pulled off. They're pulled off
Yep.
the website. You can no longer buy a Texas Rangers overlap hat
Yep.
thanks to somebody not paying attention.
Again, hold on. Before you move on, this comes mere days after the debacle with the St. Patrick's Day caps. And
Yes,
I'm like, let me just go back to my soapbox. In a world with a company who deals in iconography, how
right.
are you screwing this up that bad again within literal days? Oh, I don't understand. It's
I
so
don't understand.
stupid.
Well, and this is the thing too. Is like baseball family. This is a conversation we were having before we came on here. Is that I bought this Philly Fanatics, or I bought this Phillies clubhouse hat that Brig so vehemently despises.
I can't stand
And
it.
I'll tell you this: 90% of the hats that I own are 7.5s. This is a 7 5/8. For whatever reason, I've had to, and it's not because my head's bigger, because my 7.5, my old 7.5 hats still fit just fine. I've
Yep.
got one sitting here next to me. It's a 7.5. I've been wearing. It fits exactly the same as it does the day I bought it. This is 7 5/8. This is the snuggest 7 5/8 that I own. I don't know
Yep.
what's going on at New Era. I don't know what's going on with the sizes. I don't know what's going on with the quality of their product. I don't know what's going on with their design team. And the other thing is I'm having a really hard time buying hats online these days because you get it in a box. It's just a skosh too small. I bought a Pirates spring training hat and the bill came just like a little bit smashed. I can't figure out exactly what it is that's off about it, but I know there's something. I know it was because of the size of the box that it was shipped in.
Yep. This
And
hat that
it's
I'm
driving
wearing,
me nuts.
this Yankee spring training cap should be the best one I've ever worn in my life, and I hate everything about it. I hate it. It pinches in all the wrong spots. It balloons in weird places. It's there's like a lack of material halfway through one seam line or something. I don't know. I'm not a structural cap engineer, but I just think that something is seriously wrong over there. And did you know
So,
that New
go
Era
ahead.
has been in business with Major League Baseball since Major League Baseball started wearing caps on the field in like 1930 friggin' 4 or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, they've
Okay,
been around forever and doing it
I
ever.
understand.
How do you suddenly have it wrong?
Yes, that's what I want to know. What happened? What happened?
Now I
This
will
is a
say
real issue.
I was complaining about the 7 5/8, the size on this hat. Uh, it does fit like perfectly, but it's smaller than the other 7 5/8 that I have. So like, it's not like an issue. I'm not complaining about it, but it's an oddity. Because that being
Oh, I'm
said,
complaining.
of all the hats that I own and the hats that I wear, the only ones that I actually wear on a regular basis are New Era.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
they still do it better than anybody.
They do.
Despite the fact that the thing is that they've set such a high standard for so many years that you get your next hat and it's like, well, it's not as good as the one I bought last year. Brig, a couple years ago when you were here for the World Baseball Classic, we were at some sports memorabilia, I don't know, sports
Place.
stuff store. You were looking for that USA hat. Do you remember the guy who was going to say the hat? He said there was a period of time, it was like 2013 to 2017. He's like, that was the worst run of hats
Yep.
ever. And I think we're
Yep.
in another one of those windows for whatever reason.
I think so. And I want to know when did they switch from wool to wool blend to then 100% poly? Because I feel like maybe it's in line with each of those transition periods, because this newer material may be the problem.
Well, I don't know this necessarily that because I have a hat from 2017 that's this material, but that was part of it. Maybe it is the problem because that was that run where he said they were the worst hats, right? So maybe, I don't know.
Maybe it's this particular blend or something, weave or whatever
I don't
it
know.
is.
But the other thing too about like the poly blend with the so I was looking on a website for another hat company. This is like a year ago, and it said that it was a blend. It said that it was polyester and wool. It didn't give percentages or anything like that. And I was like, okay. I was like, what does this mean? And specifically, they said it means that the crown is polyester and the visor is wool.
Right.
And I was like, that's in my best Homestar Runner voice. I respond, okay, that's weird, because I don't like that.
Yeah, you would. Look what you did.
So I didn't buy it. I didn't buy the hat.
I don't blame you.
Couldn't bring myself to do it. But baseball family, if you're having problems with your hats, respond. Let us know. Or if every hat fits you perfectly, right out of the box when you buy it online, or straight out of the store. Because that's kind of the thing too. Is I'm having a hard time. Like I said, I'm having a hard time buying online, which is really going to limit my buying ability because what I want is not always in the stores near me.
What I want is very rarely in the stores near me.
Right.
Look, I'm the heart of the Braves country now, so it's like, I don't know, I can't.
I live in Diamondbacks country. I can't even buy a Trailblazers hat around here. Nobody carries those. And the guys always make fun of me at Lids for it, that I even ask.
At least you can buy Yankees caps at the local Lids. You can go in and there is going to be a Yankees cap anywhere. Now, whether it's the one I want or not, that's a different story. But
you're right. That is a different story. But anyway, let us know your experience that you've been having lately with hats, because we want to hear it. Drop in the comments or shoot us an email, baseballtogetherpod@gmail.com. Okay, next thing. Mo Vaughn. Remember Mo Vaughn, Brig? How could you not? I used to.
Well, we're about to find out.
I had a group of friends when I was growing up. We were the biggest Mo Vaughn fans for no other reason than the fact that we liked his name and he was a big old dude playing baseball.
That's 100% accurate. All of that is true.
Recently, in an interview with Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic, he admitted to using HGH late in his MLB career. He said he was injecting into his knee, which he injured in 1991. MLB banned HGH in 2005, by the way, and Vaughn retired in 2003. So it appears there was technically no violation. Vaughn was named in the Mitchell report, which is, I think, important to know that there may have been guys who were on that list who were not using banned substances, but may have been using gray area substances like HGH.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. And again, we talk about these substances like they're all going to make you freaking Hercules, right? That's not the case. It doesn't. But that being said, I'm not trying to absolve them. I feel like it's wrong for athletic performances and performers. It's just wrong.
What it does is it makes it so that it magnifies the work that you put in, right?
Some do.
I remember
some just accelerate recovery.
Right, anabolic steroids are gonna magnify the
Anabolic,
work that you
yes.
put in. Like
That's true.
somebody asked Ken Griffey Sr., "Why do you think Junior never used steroids?" And he's like, "Because he hated lifting weights." Like,
Yeah,
it's that
that's
simple. He
true.
wasn't gonna do it because he didn't want to lift because he didn't like lifting weights. So there's that.
Well, makes
Um,
sense to me.
but yes, HGH does, like you said, accelerate the healing process. That's why guys use it, and I
Yeah.
think that's why Roger Clemens was tied to it. That's why Andy Pettitte used it. So he said,
Yeah, that's what he
right?
said. Yeah.
And the other thing you have to remember about HGH too is there was not testing for it because I believe it requires a blood test to
Which the
test for
union was not.
HGH, and the union was not going to do
They
that.
were not hip to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mo Vaughn,
Whatever.
three-time All-Star, Silver Slugger, 6 seasons with 26 plus home runs. Does this change your opinion of Mo Vaughn?
Uh, yes.
Yes, it does. In what way?
Yes. Well, he's already a Red Sox player, so
No.
I didn't.
That.
Just kidding. That was totally a joke. No, I think it does. I think it changes it in two ways. The first is it now calls into question some of his play, right? However, and a caveat to that, a big one, is that this gives me new respect for him as a person, like as a human being. And I think a lot of this comes on the back of his coaching because he's now back involved in baseball and he's coaching his sons and his son's friends, and now they've opened a big facility and they're training kids all day long. And one of the things that I've heard about his training, his coaching staff that he's brought on, the whole sort of all the mojo they have is like, we're going to tell you the way it is. We're just going to tell it like it is. So it'd be hard to go into training young players under the banner of honesty without being honest, you know? So I think that for the good of the game, for him as a human being, for whatever, all these altruistic things, I think it's awesome. And he should be celebrated for his honesty.
Yeah, I can dig that. I like that. For me, one thing is that it might explain a description of his physique that I was given at one point. I went to a baseball camp as a kid.
Yeah.
I was 11 years old. I went to a baseball camp, and I can't remember if I told you about this, Brig. So I was at this baseball camp, and there was a guy there, he's a pitcher. He's teaching everybody how to throw curveballs. And for the life of me, I could not do it. I was throwing gravity balls, and he's like, "Yeah, it's got good break." I'm like, "Dude, that's dropping because of gravity. That's not break." But so I was talking to him after, and I was like, "What's it like playing with Mo Vaughn?" I was like, "That dude's pretty big." He's like, "He is the strongest man I've ever met in my entire life." And everybody was like, "What? Mo Vaughn's like a fat guy?" And he's like, "No, he's not." He's like, "If you see Mo Vaughn with his shirt off, he's like, those are abs, dude." He's like, "That guy has got abs stacked on abs. He is shredded. He is jacked." And we're like, "Whoa, no way.
That's
so
awesome.
cool." So
I like that.
maybe that's how he got that jacked. I don't know. But anyway. All right, let's stick with a Red Sox tangential Red Sox, Brig.
There you go. Contemporaries.
Yes. Dave Roberts was extended today, contractually. The Dodgers, they finalized an extension with Dave Roberts. He has a new deal keeping him through 2029, which I think is great. Good for him. Puts him just above $8 million per year. It's about a $32.4 million deal over the 4 years. He's been with the Dodgers for 9 years as the skipper.
Can you believe that? 9? I looked at that and thought, that doesn't make sense. Because he was...
Time flies when you're having fun, Brig.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. That is exactly what it is.
So a little bit of his resume as the manager of the Dodgers: 9 postseason appearances, 8 division titles, 5 seasons with over 100 wins. That's unfreaking real. They've had such an incredible run. 4 pennants, 2 World Series titles. 1, if you don't want to count 2020, but I'm going to because everybody's playing under the same circumstances. His career record as a manager is 851 and 506. That's good enough for a 627 win percentage. Only 10 managers have won at least 3 World Series titles. Roberts would be number 11 should the Dodgers do it anytime during this period. I'm going to go ahead and say that they're not going to do it this year just because of how things have gone in baseball. and everything still has to work out perfectly. They have a bigger margin of error, but it still has to work out within that margin of error. And I'm going to say that it doesn't this year, for whatever reason.
Okay.
Yeah. He currently sits in 5th place in Baseball Reference's winningest manager, Brig. 5th place?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Now, I will say this. When Donnie Baseball was fired as manager of the Dodgers, Dave Roberts could not have come into a cushier position in baseball.
Isn't that? Now, winningest in terms of percentage. Let me make that clear. In terms of percentage.
I was like, that feels like that's...
Yeah.
All right.
It's in terms of... If you go games above 500, he's number 12 on the all-time list for games over 500.
Okay. But that's a good point, though, because eventually you get the guys who managed for 40 years, like, I don't know, like Sparky Anderson managed till like the day he died. Something
Connie
like that,
Mack
right?
was 53
Connie
years.
Mack was there forever. Yeah. Like Connie Mack, the law of averages are going to catch up to him, and he's going to have some really lean years.
So Connie Mack sits at 486 for his win percentage, negative 217 games above 500. But from 1894 to 1950, he won 3,731 games as a manager.
A lot.
Now, he lost 3,948, but...
It's even more. But still, that's a lot. That's like talking about Cy Young. Like, Cy Young is the winningest pitcher of all time. Oh, wow, who has the most losses? Cy Young.
Yeah.
That dude pitched every other day.
So the next guy down on the list, 35 years as a manager, and it's Tony La Russa. 35 years as a manager. He has, outside of Connie Mack, he's got 2,884 wins against 2,499 losses. That's good enough for 536 on the win percentage. 385 games above 500. Total 5,387 games managed. So other than Connie Mack, Tony La Russa sits at the top of that heap.
Wow.
That's and then, cool. You ready for this? Sparky Anderson. Yeah. So I'm just going to run down the list, okay? These are just number of wins in managerial history. And I'll contextualize this with Dave Roberts. So Tony La Russa, 2884 wins. John McGraw, like way back, right? He retired in 1932, 2763. Bobby Cox, then retired in 2010, 2504. Joe Torre, 2326. Sparky Anderson, just to give it to you, number 6 on the list, 2,194. Dusty Baker, 2,183 wins. Bruce Bochy is the next. He's the only active guy in the top 10. And he's got 2,171 wins, 498 win percentage. To then get all the way to Dave Roberts on wins, I'm going all the way to number 81 on the list.
Wow.
Yeah. Above him...
He hasn't been managing that long compared to any of those guys.
Nope. So... He's got 9 years with L.A. He had a little bit of time with San Diego. That's it. So then moving up the active list, A.J. Hinch, number 79 on that list. Bud Black is number 49. Bob Melvin's number 24. And then
amazing that Bud Black is anywhere on that list, the amount of time that he spent with the Rockies.
Yeah. 1,186 wins for Bud Black, 1,370 losses, 464 overall.
But I guess though, if you win 60 games over 10 years, that's 600 wins still. So there you go.
Every time.
Yeah,
that's how math works.
That is mathing.
Well,
all-star mathlete, Brig, right here.
Yeah, that's why you're so valuable, because I'm like, is that how? I don't know. The kids, okay, here's a math aside, okay? The kids the other day, they were like, why can't we be homeschooled, is what they think homeschool means half a day of work that's actually, that they're welching on anyway, and then they get to be on their iPads and on the trampoline or whatever. I think that's what's going on in their heads. But they said to me...
let's be real, I know people who homeschool. That's basically what it is that they do.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree with you.
But work hard that in the morning, so that's
Yeah,
but
which
anyway.
is fine, and they have
Yeah.
parents that are going to do that and hang in there. I'm not that guy. Okay, I need you gone. I got stuff. Okay, I'm really good for the time we have together and on vacations and whatever. When I can mentally prepare for a full day, I'm really
Yeah.
good. You know what I mean? But okay, so they said to me, they were like, I was like, well, who's going to help you with your math if we did this hypothetical horrible idea? And they were like, well, you can. And I was like, nope, nope,
Not me.
mm-mm, nope. You
That's
guys
so
would be
funny.
trying to teach me. They were like, you just ask Siri what the. I'm like, yeah, because you're doing addition and subtraction right now. Maybe some multiplication. It was hilarious. Okay, that's where I'm at with math.
So, funny story about school. I helped my son write a paper because he had to do this whole thing where like they had to write a paper about a historic figure and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I went through and edited. And I was like, cool. I appreciate that, he's letting me do it because I enjoy doing that. That's what I do for work, everything like that.
Yep.
So I did leave some fifth gradies in there, right? Like I wanted to make sure it looked like a fifth grader wrote it, not like a professional writer wrote it.
Right.
And so I left some stuff in there. And out of a 10, out of 10 possible points on grammar, he got like grammar and spelling, he got a 5. It's like,
What? What?
I know he did better than that. I know
Yeah.
for a fact he did.
I
I spell checked legitimately every single word in that paper, and I also went through and made sure every sentence was grammatically correct, despite the fact that it was being said by a fifth grader. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
how did he get 5 out of 10?
That's teachers.
I
Teachers
I
got
looked
the
at Mel.
humility pencil out. That's what that is.
I guess I looked at Mel. I was like, "How do you get a 5?" She's like, "I don't know."
I'll tell you.
It's really
You don't want to hear the answer, but there's an answer, and it's the truth. It's a hard truth. But they have to show growth across the year.
it's. I mean, we're getting to the end of the year, Brig.
Nah, man, we're halfway.
He gets
We're
out in a
just
month
over
and a half.
halfay. We're
He
just
gets out
over
in a month
half.
and a half.
He
He gets out in
does.
a month and a half. Yeah,
Okay, we have a full 2 left.
yeah. He's out before. He's out well before Memorial Day.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
they have to show growth, Brad. It's the only answer I have.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is. His teacher is a coach, and it's a history
Ooh.
project. So
Ooh,
there's our
shots,
answer.
Shots fired.
Yeah,
Brad just
they're
hoisted the
fired.
black flag, is what he did.
Yep. Saving for the stays on that Brig. That was not across the bow.
No.
Saving to
No,
do
it
some
was
damage
not.
on that one. All right.
Oh man.
Let's move on to the Rays. This is the last thing we have here. Let's talk about the Rays because there is a lot of drama going on with their
Yeah.
ballpark, and it's just getting worse for them. So ultimately, what this comes down to, and we're going to get to why and how this works, but owner Stu Sternberg might be forced to sell the team. This is according to, I believe it was an article out of The Athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's where a lot of this. That's where a lot of it I got.
So this comes down to Sternberg. He was thinking about considering backing out of the deal to build a new ballpark in St. Petersburg. It's down in the gas plant district downtown. They had a spot, they had renderings, everything looked like things were going smoothly, but then there was a delay in the county voting. It was almost like they had the support, then they needed to vote on it, but then the vote was delayed. And then by the time that happened, prices in real estate went up. And so
Well,
the
and in
Rays
materials and
committed-
everything else.
Right, just like everything
Labor,
else is going up, right?
Everything's going up right now. Of course it is. Okay.
Yep. So the Rays $700 million that they agreed to contribute, not enough anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem because, as we know, Stu Sternberg doesn't like to spend a whole lot of money.
Uh-huh.
And to be fair,
To be fair,
I don't know his net worth. I'm going to look real quick.
It's more than he needs.
Oh, I can guarantee you that. But I don't know. He has a net worth. This is according to Celebrity Net Worth. I don't know how viable this is, but they say he has a net worth of $800 million.
Well, and all
So-
700 is not coming out of his personal pocket.
No, I understand that, but at the same time, though, like I can, like seeing that, I can see why he's on the cheaper side.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
Like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the deep pockets of Steve Cohen, of
Well, yeah,
Steinbrenners, of even John Stanton, who is just notoriously cheap despite
plain old
having the
cheap.
money.
Yeah.
Right? So it makes sense, it's like if you're gonna buy a boat, you've got to be able to afford to upkeep the boat.
Right.
That's the way it goes. Same thing with the Major League Baseball franchise. So here's the thing with this. At least 2 ownership groups have already announced themselves as possible replacements because there's a possibility of him being forced to sell. And you might be thinking, can they force him to sell? Absolutely, they can.
You hit the nail on the head with the term franchise.
Yes.
Major League Baseball owns the ball club.
Yes.
Basically.
And essentially, yeah, that's what it comes down to.
That's the easiest way to break it down. Yeah.
So, but I mean, you don't have to look any further than the NBA. What was about a decade ago with Donald Sterling, the old racist who owned the Clippers.
I don't know.
Some stuff came out. The NBA. Players protested him before a game. Whoa. Straight up protested. They put their warm-up jerseys at half court and said, "We're not going to play as long as he's the owner." I think they ended up playing anyway, but there was a whole thing, and the NBA forced him to sell. And now, what's his name? Microsoft guy.
That's him. That's the one.
Can't remember. It's not Bill Gates. It's not Paul Allen. It's the other guy.
Jeff Bezos.
The other one.
Jeff.
No, that's Amazon.
Oh, that's Amazon. Yeah.
It's right on the tip of my tongue, Brig. Steve Ballmer now owns the Clippers. He was the one who bought him from Donald Sterling. And granted, because Sterling owned the Clippers, and for whatever billion-dollar number that Ballmer bought them for, Sterling got to keep the money because it's his team, right? Sure. That only makes sense. So even if Stu Sternberg is forced to sell the team for, say, $2.4 billion, just throwing a number out there, I have no idea what the Rays are worth right now.
Seems
but
really
if he
sick
sells
enough.
for $2.4 billion, Stu Sternberg gets to keep, if he owns 90% of the team, he gets to keep 90% of that because it was his team, even though MLB forced him out. So they can do this. It very well could happen. So apparently there's a deadline for this by the end of March. That's like,
yeah, it's all got to get worked out. Whatever is going to happen. He's got like 20 days, 19 or 20 days to work stuff out.
Yeah, so according to David Sampson, Manfred could pull revenue shares from the Rays for failure to follow the fine print as a franchisee. So that would be enormous because
that's a summary of what
so heavily on that revenue sharing for everything. So that would be bad news bears to the Rays.
That's a summary of what Sampson said, and he did a much better job. You should go listen to It's Nothing Personal, but
he not only is it because he's been in the game, but he understands the business of things. So he does a great job of explaining all that stuff, being a lawyer and everything. So anyway, coming up this season, though, remember that the Rays are going to be playing outdoors because they don't have a stadium to play in because of the hurricane. This will be the first time they're playing exclusively outdoor outdoor home games since their inaugural season in 1998. One of the questions is how many rainouts will there be because the rain rolls in the afternoon on the Gulf Coast, and the grounds crew is going to have to learn how to be. I'm sure they already are efficient, but it's time to see how efficient they can be getting the field ready.
You bring up a good point. I wonder whether they will retain the grounds crew from the Steinbrenner facility, or what
they're going to have to,
or are they going to bring in the Rays grounds crew from the Trop?
Wonder. So
that'd be interesting.
I would think that they would retain the Steinbrenner Field crew because they're the ones who maintain that. I wonder if they would integrate the grounds crew from the Trop. I'm not assuming.
That's a great question, though, isn't it?
Millionaire like Sternberg is going to allow people to keep their jobs just out of the goodness of his heart. But I would think that it would help to have a few extra hands on deck, right? To make sure that you get things ready. Because if you don't play games, you run into problems, and you don't want to be playing a bunch of double headers in August, because that's not good for your team. So I would think they would bring at least some over just to have more hands on deck to help get the field ready, because they're going to be scrambling a lot of those days, I feel like.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree.
So
now,
something that's kind of... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to jump into this because there's some really interesting stuff going on here. The renovation crew is comprised of 50 installers, 80 Rays staffers, and this group is brought together from 5 different companies and they have 120 hours basically to turn Steinbrenner Field into a Rays facility instead of a Yankees facility. So from March 23rd to March 28th, they got to install everything. And they got to cover everything else up. And they got to change all the signage. I saw a report that said there are some 3,000 pieces of unique signage pieces that need to be implemented or installed or temporarily whatever they're going to do. And I'm like, what? Somebody wrote that it was, if you lined them all up side by side, they'd run a mile with how much signage they've got to put up. I thought that was really interesting.
So I will say this about that, is that I've seen not to this level, but I've seen a college stadium get converted into a minor league stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And with where we went to school, and then the minor league team that played there during the summer, because I had covered our school, and then when I went to working for the minor league team, and it was within like 3 days. I hardly recognized the place, because I just assumed that they were going to leave certain things there. Brig, there was nothing.
Right. No,
there was nothing from the college team, that like none of the banners, nothing. It was all converted over to the minor league team, and I was kind of like, that was really fast. And like I said, it's not quite to the magnitude of the Rays, but I was shocked at what they did and how fast they did it.
Well, so, I think at that school, at that facility, everybody knew the score, and everybody knew it was going to get shared pretty early on. And so I think what happened is the university just didn't put up a lot of signage. There wasn't tons of...
They had a ton of signage.
No, it wasn't. Yes. Not to the degree that we're talking about here.
I was there like 4 days a week, plus some, from February until the end of May into June.
You were the only one there. You were the only one there.
I may have been, but I was there, and I saw it. I saw all of it. There were banners. There was signage everywhere. It was almost a 1-to-1 swap out.
That's crazy. Well, all right.
Dugouts, clubhouses, all of it.
That's crazy. I just don't know that 3 days. They have 5 here.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they can do it, and I don't think they'll even have to work around the clock to do it. I think it'll probably be 10 to 12 hour days, but it'll happen.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Well, but yeah, they're not going to have to. They're not going to have to pull a bench warmers like, we got 24 hours to build the stadium, right?
No way. Yeah, it's not going to happen like that.
They'll get it done though. I'm not worried. I will say though, 120 hours makes it sound super daunting. That's 5 days.
Yeah,
that's 5 full days. They'll get it done.
Anyway. I listed that on here because that's how the article I read listed it, and I liked it. It was punchy, so I borrowed it.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's got some shock value to it too.
For sure.
So it's good. It's good, but it'll get done. It'll be fine. And the team store needs to get restocked. I think that'll probably be the last thing that happens.
I was going to say they're not going to worry about that.
Oh, get the T-shirts on the hangers.
Yeah,
they'll be doing that as people are walking into opening day. Oh, you want a T-shirt? Yeah, okay, here you go. I don't have to hang that one.
What size?
That's that's like when you're folding laundry and you're like, oh yeah, I want to wear this shirt, and you put it on. One less thing to do. Anyway, baseball family, thank you for joining us for this week's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review everywhere that you can. Also, head over to seed-sack.com. Get yourself a seed sack for your Chinook seeds. You can thank us later because it's fantastic. Use code BASEBALL2GETHER. That's baseball2gether to save 5% off your seed sack. Support the show, support your wallet, and support your seed habit because we know you have one. And with that, baseball family, we will catch you later this week.